Have you ever noticed this? You work all month, you finally get paid, and for a brief moment, it feels like everything is under control. Then a few days pass, and somehow that feeling disappears. Not because you spent wildly, not because you did anything irresponsible, but because the money just slips away. Bills, food, small things, unexpected things, nothing dramatic, just life. And suddenly, you're back in that same quiet tension, checking your balance more often than you'd like, doing mental math before spending anything, telling yourself, I'll be more careful next month. But next month comes, and it feels exactly the same. So you start wondering, how am I working this hard and still feeling broke? We're taught to believe that income is the solution. If you're struggling, the answer is obvious. Make more money, get a better job, ask for a raise, pick up a side hustle. And to be fair, that advice isn't wrong, but it's incomplete. Because there are people earning decent salaries who still feel constantly behind, and there are others earning less who somehow feel more in control. So what's actually going on? The problem isn't just income, it's the relationship between your income, your expectations, and your life. And that relationship is shaped more by psychology than most people realize. Let me explain this in a way that might feel uncomfortably familiar. Imagine you get a pay raise. At first, it feels like relief, finally some breathing room. You tell yourself, okay, now things will be different. But then something subtle starts happening. You upgrade a few things. Maybe you move to a slightly better place. You stop stressing over small purchases. You start ordering food a bit more often because you're tired after work. You justify it because, well, you can now. And none of these decisions feel reckless. In fact, they feel reasonable. But slowly, quietly, your new income becomes your new normal. And that breathing room you were so excited about, it disappears. Not because you failed, but because your life expanded to match your income. This is what psychologists call lifestyle inflation. But honestly, that term makes it sound more dramatic than it is. In reality, it's just you trying to make your life a little more comfortable. And that's not a flaw, that's human. Here's where it gets deeper. Money isn't just numbers, it's emotional. It's tied to how we cope with stress, how we reward ourselves, how we signal progress to ourselves and to others. Think about a long workday. You're exhausted, mentally drained. You don't feel like cooking, so you order food. In that moment, it's really not about the money. It's about relief. Or maybe you buy something small online, not because you need it, but because it gives you a sense of control, a small win in a day where everything else felt out of your hands. Again, completely human. But when these small emotional decisions happen consistently, they start shaping your financial reality, not in a dramatic, obvious way, but in a slow, almost invisible way. There's also something else that rarely gets talked about: the gap between what you earn and what you feel you should have by now. This one hits differently, because even if you're covering your expenses, there's this quiet voice in the background saying, you should be further ahead. Maybe you compare yourself to friends who seem to be doing better, or people online who make it look easy, or even just a version of yourself you imagined years ago. And suddenly, it's not just about paying bills anymore. It's about feeling behind in life. That feeling can make you feel broke even when you technically aren't. Now here's the turning point, the part that changes how you see all of this. Feeling broke is often less about your bank balance and more about your margin. Margin is the space between what you earn and what you spend, but it's also something deeper. It's the feeling that you have room to breathe, room to make a mistake, room to rest. When that margin is gone, even a decent income can feel suffocating. Because every dollar already has a job. Every unexpected expense feels like a disruption. Every decision feels tight. And that's exhausting. So the goal isn't just to earn more, it's to protect your margin. And that doesn't mean extreme budgeting or cutting out everything you enjoy. It means becoming a little more aware of where your money is quietly leaking and why. Not in a judgmental way, just in an honest way. For example, instead of asking, "Why am I so bad with money?" a better question might be, "What am I using money to cope with?" Because sometimes it's not about discipline. Sometimes it's about stress or burnout or feeling like you need something to look forward to. And when you understand that, your decisions start to shift naturally. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Another shift is learning to separate income increases from lifestyle increases. That sounds simple, but it's harder than it looks. Because when you earn more, your brain immediately starts imagining a better life. And again, that's human. But even holding on to a small portion of that increase, just a little, can slowly rebuild your margin. Not overnight, but over time, it creates a sense of stability that most people are actually craving. There's also something powerful about making your fixed costs just a bit lighter. Not by sacrificing everything, but by being mindful of the big commitments: rent, subscriptions, recurring expenses. Because once those are locked in, they shape your entire financial life. They decide how flexible you get to be. And sometimes the difference between feeling broke and feeling okay isn't your income. It's how much of it is already spoken for before the month even begins. And I think this is important to say. If you're feeling broke right now, it doesn't mean you're failing. It often means you're navigating a system that's quietly designed to stretch you. Rising costs, social pressure, easy spending, constant comparison. It's a lot. So instead of blaming yourself, it might be more helpful to step back and just notice what's happening. Not everything needs to change at once. Just awareness alone can start shifting things. Because once you see it clearly, you start making slightly different choices. You pause before certain purchases, not out of guilt, but out of understanding. You value flexibility a bit more. You start noticing what actually makes you feel better versus what just feels good for a moment. And over time, those small shifts begin to compound, quietly, almost invisibly. Until one day you check your bank account again, and instead of confusion, there's just a little more calm. Not perfect, not overflowing, but stable. And honestly, that feeling, it matters more than most people think. Because money, at its core, isn't just about what you can buy. It's about how you feel living your life. And feeling like you have space, even a little, that's a powerful place to be. So if you've been feeling broke lately, even with a job, maybe don't rush to fix everything. Just start by paying attention to your habits, your triggers, your expectations. Because progress with money isn't about sudden breakthroughs. It's about small awareness repeated over time. And that's something you're already capable of, even if it doesn't feel like it yet.